Before the lunch break, we have a panel discussion now. So I would like to invite Mr. Xiaoling to join us on the table, Mr. Knut Erik Heggem, Mr. Antonis Georgantzis from CMM, Mr. George Paul Perantzakis from Naftomar, and Mr. Diamantis Andriotis from StealthGas. Okay, so it's typical on panel discussions to have a set of preset questions. So it's normally the ones I've attended are always pre-staged. So in this time we are a little bit innovative. There are no preset questions. Our guests here volunteer, and thank you very much for accepting our invitations to be part of the panel. The idea here is that now it's your chance to ask questions to the previous presenters and anybody from the audience to ask questions. We're trying to make it a little bit live. Before we start with the questions, I would like to ask if you can present yourself, your name, your affiliation, and your role within the company you represent. Antonis?
Καλησπέρα. Λέγομαι Αντώνης Γιώργαντζης, δουλεύω στη CMM τα τελευταία 10 χρόνια. Είμαι ναυπηγός μηχανολόγος και πριν τη CMM δούλευα στο Dendos και Veritas στην Νορβηγία και στην Κορέα.
Okay, thank you.
Καλησπέρα.
Let me give you the... Okay, maybe that's better.
Τώρα, ναι. Καλησπέρα, λέγομαι Διαμαντής Andriotis, δουλεύω από το 2008 για τη Stealth Maritime και είμαι ο τεχνικός διευθυντής της εταιρείας από το 2011.
Hello, my name is George Paul Perantzakis. I am the director of Naftomar shipping, and I am involved with gas almost all my life.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm Xiaoling from JiangNan Shipyard, and we are focused on the gas carrier section, and can build the gas carrier from the smaller size to biggest. Personally, I'm working as the technical person in R&D department for more than 10 years, and I'm a senior naval architect, and now I'm working in the marketing and sales department. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Knut Erik Heggem. I'm from Wartsila oil and gas system in Norway. I've been working in the marine business since '85, doing various, from project engineer to project manager to now working on business development. And the last 15 years I've been doing in the gas business.
Okay, thank you very much. So I will try to start with some questions as a result of the presentations we had today. Obviously, we gave the chance in the morning slot to have makers present their solutions, their offers, their new products. We want to hear from other stakeholders. We wanted to hear from owners, operators who will buy those new ideas and put them on the vessels and will have to live with them for 25 years. We also wanted to hear from the shipbuilders who are integrating all these solutions in order to deliver a nice asset to the clients. And to defend the presenters, we have Wartsila here so that we can make the discussion a little bit more live. So the question, if Mr. Lee, I can ask you first, how ready is your shipyard to adapt these new technologies, how confident you are to offer to your potential clients ships specified with the technologies we heard earlier, MELGI, gas reformer, all these things that make the vessels more efficient.
Okay, thank you. And this is a very good question. And I would like to address why the 37,000 ethylene carrier, why not we choose the main engine can burn ethane as a fuel. Actually, we are doing a joint R&D with TGE and Navigate. I think it's in 2013. At that time, we have consulted the two main engine maker, but unfortunately, at that time, the main engine can burn ethane as the fuel is not available on the market. But the owner are very interested in the environmental protection. Later, we have get a compromisation, use the LNG as a fuel. We have two deck tank on the up deck, and also these two deck tank can use the fuel tank in LNG mode, but also can be used to transport the cargo of ethane or ethylene. This is why we are doing innovation, but we should be responsible for the owner. When we are looking for the new technology, we should make the vessel to be reliable, to be robust. Even though I remember when in 2011, when I negotiated with the ethylene carrier, we are looking for the solution of the scrubber to meet the Tier 3 requirement. But at that time, as you know, the scrubber, the dimension is too large, and if you remain the fuel size to accommodate the scrubber system, and the vessel will be lost some of the ecological performance. Later, we abandoned this solution, just maintain the ordinary design. And as you know, personally, I'm very interested in the LPG as fuel. Just now, the two engine maker, Wartsila and MAN, they have presented their solution for the LPG as fuel. I think it's quite a good start from the even now we have just get the statement from maker. The main engine will be available on the 2018, but yes, well, from the view of the yard, we will do more negotiation with the maker to make everything to proceed smoothly. And as you know, the marketing situation is not so much good. From the shipbuilder's point of view, we should maintain especially for the LPG vessel, it does not like the LNG section. And the most important thing for the LPG carrier, I think, is to maintain the flexibility and to meet the different requirements from the owner side. And as you know, the LPG cargo is not as stable as the LNG. And when the owner placed the order, they want to get more possibility to accommodation of the cargo and the accommodation of the port restriction, and also for the main engine propulsion system, the retrofit in the future maybe also will be available. Even we are cooperating with the Naftomar, now we are discussing with the different loading temperature now. Yes, from the other point of view, we are very like to cooperate with the owner to discuss with different kind of technology and the possibility, but also we should to be responsible for the project for the owner, we should make sure the technology is okay and will make the vessel to be robust. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to ask Mr. Georgantzis, but rephrase a little bit the question. The makers are producing new ideas to make the vessels more efficient, also because we have new legislation coming. Is this actually what operators really want, or they feel more comfortable with the existing technologies that have been available up to now on LPG carriers?
We strongly believe that development shall be based on technological innovation. So there will not be, the vessels are developed and progressing the designs based on the experience gained from the operating ones, and new technologies have to be tried and tested. Of course, in order to select, you need to have a strong background and analysis of the adoption to be made, and certainly you need to have the backing from the principals for adopting such solutions, because in most cases such solutions will be require initial higher capex. At the same time, we need to be aware that adopting innovative technologies might involve a certain degree of risk, that some of the new items cannot be, will take some time to perform as designed. But with good communication with all the involved parties, like the builders, the makers, the problems can be overcome, and our experience until now shows that the final product is actually a better one and more refined than the previous one.
Okay, thank you. That was a very much a response. Mr. Perantzakis, I would like the question is still the same, but having the opportunity to have met you in other occasions, developing a technology is one thing. People have to operate it. And I know you are a member of SICTO, who is looking more on the, let's say, challenges of the operators. Do you think that all go hand by hand, or somebody is moving faster than the other?
This is the struggle that we have right now. Okay, so first of all, I can say that the problem has two phases. One is all these makers are creating new technology, but actually there is nobody that is responsible except the yard to put all these technologies together and see if the benefit at the end is positive or negative. This is where we need assistance also from class to get let's say, a good result. I will give you an example that we have faced in the past. We have MAN with a very new ME engine, which is extremely performant and can give us a very good consumption. But on the other hand, because of the design of the engine, we have limited steam production on board. And then we have to burn the boiler more. So whatever we gain from the engine, we lose from the boiler. And this is the task of the yard, to develop a design that overall will give us a benefit. Until now, the only person that was controlling, I mean, the only part that was controlling the result of the yard was the owner. And this is what is important now, class to be more involved, in order to give us the tools and to give us certain assistance in judging if the total system is actually giving a better result or not. Okay, and where it has to be improved, especially on energy efficiency matters, both in the engine room and on the cargo side. There are a lot of improvements that can be done, but nobody is actually willing to do them because they are afraid of deviating from the standard design. The second problem, and the second phase of the problem, is, as you said, the crew. These complicated ships have to be run by people, and you need to train the people on board, you need to train them ashore, and to make sure that they know the ship, they can react very quickly on anything that can happen, and they recognize the dangers, the risks, and they can take necessary preventing measures in order to have a smooth journey. This is a very big challenge, particularly now where we have difficulties in finding proper crew and to have the proper training worldwide. This is something that the company has to do by itself, and this is not always easy.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so picking up from your last 2 points, you mentioned about integrating of the various pieces of equipment, and you mentioned about who's going to operate the ships, so crewing. So regarding the integration, can I ask Mr. Heggem, your presentation, and we know that from other events and other occasions that we have met, that your company provides a holistic approach of an integrated holistic solution, all right? But of course we have the shipbuilder element, okay, who's at the end of the day is delivering the whole product. How your company and other OEMs can add on this, how your company specifically cooperates with the shipbuilders in order to, let's say, improve those scenarios and mitigate or minimize them in the future?
Well, we have been involved into these questions, and we have tried to mitigate also and make meaningful solutions. There is nothing coming from the yard on this side, actually. It's the only incentives comes from the owners. And in my presentation, I presented that, said that that's why it's so important that we have some feedback and requests from owners, because then we see what is needed to do. So, in order to mitigate, because we have heard these, let's say, stories about difficulties with crew, and we have to train and so on, and then how to monitor. So we are utilizing that, the instrumentation. Okay, we also have to extend some part of the instrumentation, our cargo handling system. But these days it's possible to do data catching. It means that we utilize the possibilities in the control system to catch the data, store them, and then transfer them back to main office. To do them for their main office, then they need to have the software in their office to analyze. So by that, it is possible to do that, kind of mitigate and do to give a proper reply to what Mr. Perantzakis was asking for. At the same time, we also do. Have developed our training and training academy, where we can do this. We can go through courses with people and crew and train them. So actually, we are already in a good way to mitigate and answer these questions. But of course, it's not coming from the yard side. Okay, maybe I'm a bit rude, but not my meaning, but they are not so interested into that. So it must come from owner. And we then we are obliged to respond positively. And we are doing that also, not only talking.
Yes, please.
If I may just add that from an engine builder point of view, we definitely want to solve problems and challenges in the industry, and I think we are working very much together with the ship owners for this. If we are focusing on the steam challenge, then we are actually trying to solve this by different methods. You can choose a conventional turbocharger, which will give a better steam capacity. It costs a little bit on the fuel consumption, but comparing to running the boiler, it's negligible. And then we have correlation with the boiler makers to make what we call an EEC system, which is based on our exhaust gas bypass system, where we have interface with the boiler maker. So when the system is requiring, for instance, 200 kilos extra of steam, then the boiler, instead of firing up the oil fire part, it gives a signal to our main engine, and we open the bypass valve a little bit, correlating to the 200 kilos extra, and we gain it from the main engine, this capacity of steam. This also costs a little bit on the fuel consumption, yes, but it is way cheaper than doing it with the oil fire part of the boiler. And addressing the other question about education of the crew and being able to look into the operation of the engine, then our ME engine is much easier to operate than the old traditional MC engine, because in the old days the engineers were experienced crew, and they were able to diagnose the problems based on experience. Today we have a monitoring and control and safety system where you can go into the monitors in the engine room and in the control room, and you can actually see what is happening on the engine, and the system is suggesting different troubleshooting issues. So this is also an area where I think we are definitely developing systems in correlation with both ship owners and other suppliers. Thank you.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Just one comment to add to the training bit that Michael just addressed. To give you an example, our academy, as we speak today, this week, has 3 different courses. We intend to be as close to you as possible, and this is why we have created this kind of courses. Any engine. Now in the academy that we have in the Greek office in Aikaterini, we are hosting 15 people. We have an MEB course. We have also a turbocharger course, meaning that we are trying to accommodate this need. And to conclude, our main task and goal is actually to be as close to the operators as possible. So we are in need of this info that you also mentioned in the developing states, and we exploit this information. We work with you, and we are here to assist you in every step. So that's what I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for this added comments. Mr. Andriotis, since the discussion is going to the competency of the crew, we see that there is this move from makers to develop their own academies and train and provide training for their new technologies. Okay, that's good. Everybody was trained to drive a car. He was not the best driver after he passed the exams. Are we on the right direction? We have 2 things. We have new technologies, requires training and familiarization. We have also a growing gas market, especially here in Greece, and it is becoming more of an international issue, a challenge, that, okay, we have a number of ships, we don't have the equivalent number of people to operate them. Are we moving as an industry to the right direction, or we should do more on increasing the competency levels of the people who operate the vessels?
Yeah, for sure. Look, perhaps the easiest thing is to say that the quality of crew is not very good, and try to take the burden off our shoulders. But the fact is exactly the opposite. We have to be actively involved and teach our crew what we expect from them, and then after we establish a good knowledge of the existing systems, move on with innovative ideas. We have been adapting innovative ideas. Perhaps Mr. Heggem in the morning showed you some new designs that we have developed together. However, the new designs, before you have a good knowledge and operation of the existing simple LPG fully pressurized vessel operation, is risky.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. That was interesting. Okay, we are close to our, actually over our lunch break. But I want, since we have you here, I want to ask one last quick question. The market is, the sector is developing, okay? It may be going some rough stages now, but we have more shipyards, more makers, more technologies, more owners want to enter into the gas shipping sector. But on the shipyard point of view, the number of shipyards that somebody can invest and build a gas carrier are limited, okay? But they are growing as well. There is a lot of initiatives. And this is mainly addressed to ship owners. How confident you can be to build, to put an order of such prestigious vessels in a new yard, less established than, for example, JiangNan or the Korean shipbuilders? Mr. Perantzakis?
Well, this sort of question is always a leap of faith. You have to trust. I think trust is the first one, and then, of course, you have to have a very good cooperation. That means that I'm not saying that the yard has to follow you blindly, but you need to have the upper hand. So that means that you have to control the design, you have to control all the aspects of the production, and be more involved than you are in a yard that is established. Of course, at the end, the selection most of the times is not technical, it's commercial, and this is messing up everything. But nevertheless, if you don't have this personal contact or you don't have this trust, I think it cannot work. And of course, both of them need some time to develop. There is no other way, I believe. You have to be on top of it.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Georgantzis, rephrasing a little bit the question again. Would you trust to build a gas carrier in a shipyard that maybe you have very good relationships with a company on another ship site, but it's their first gas carrier ever to build?
I think that would be very difficult to answer at this point. Coming from a company that for the last 20 years has built all the vessels in a specific shipyard. A gas carrier certainly is far more complicated and delicate type of vessel compared to a tanker or a bulk carrier. And certain degree of failures that could be tolerated on another type of vessels cannot be tolerated on this type of vessel. A failure in the containment system would result into huge losses, serious periods of hire, and certainly probably a very long period to identify what has been the problem and rectify if you have a leak in the tank or in the primary barrier system. So going back to your question, it would be directly linked to each company's policy and the way this company has elected to operate and how to manage the risk with respect to such a strategic decision, and going into a shipyard that has no relevant experience with such type of vessel.
Okay. Okay, good. Thank you for the answer. I was kind of expecting that, knowing the close ties you had with specific shipbuilders. Mr. Andriotis, and since this is a Lloyd's Register event, allow me to bring it down to the class selection. Would you trust to build a gas carrier with a class society that doesn't have sufficient experience, but all the other stakeholders are very experienced? Is this the role of class you see adding value to your projects?
Of course. We are conservative. We have taken, moving back to the previous question, we are only building our vessels in Japan in proven yards with that have built the same type of vessel many times in the past and before. So when it comes to class, of course, we don't want surprises. Class will be there to help you, will be there to identify mistakes and problems you haven't been able to identify through your supervision. Before you approve the plans, you need to know that the plan approval of class will be efficient and will identify any non-conformities. So yes, I wouldn't trust a class that has not built gas carriers in the past for a new project.
Okay, thank you very much. And I think I will close my questions with this, knowing that we have exceeded 10 minutes over the lunch break. But I want to give you a chance if you have any. Yes, please. If you could say your name and your affiliation.
My name is Diamantis from the National Technical University of Athens. I have a question that relates very much to the Bangkok presentation this morning. How realistic you feel is at this stage the storage of oil of gas as electrical energy?
Mike, do you want to answer that? So, okay, so I don't know if for electrical energy, you said.
Store it as an electrical energy, charge batteries, and keep the boil of gas, all the energy from the boil of gas as electrical energy instead of compress it.
I suppose you mean a type of a fuel cell.
Yes.
Okay, I think we have answers on this one, and I'm more than happy to discuss this over the lunch break if you want. It's something that is coming, and knowing that the fact that we didn't cover it in our presentations, maybe we can give it some time during the lunch break. Is that okay with you? Thank you very much. So, I don't want to take any more of your time. Please, can you give a round of applause to our guests? Thank you very much for taking the challenge.